Sorry, I just needed to get that out. It was a
No,
lot.
I understand.
Look, man, welcome to the PHNX Sun Devils show. I'm Anthony Totri. This man right here is not Shane Diefenbach. That is actually Shawn DePaz. We got Elijhah behind the Mac today. Shawn, I screamed because I just needed to let it out. We had a lot of football this past week, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm in 4 fantasy leagues. I won in only one of them. The Chargers lost. Arizona State lost. It was just, God, I got my ass kicked and everything.
Yeah, I went over 3 in fantasy this week, including a loss to Espo, which hurts because Espo's famously the worst fantasy football player, maybe on the planet, at the very least in this office. We don't got to talk about what happened in the Monday Night Football game. We all know what happened in that Saturday Night Football game. I'm just not really liking the sport of football too much right now, if I'm being quite honest with you.
It's kicking my ass, man, from start to finish.
Basketball to start.
God damn. Oh, my goodness. Well, regardless, it is a fresh week, a fresh opponent. We'll go ahead and get into everything that we've got set up on the menu for you guys today. At the end of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about some Devils in the NFL that had some great games and maybe left a little bit on the table as well. We've also got our Pac-12 Power Rankings that we'll get into in a bit as well, because things are starting to finally settle when it comes to some of these opponents that ASU will face when we get to conference play. So we'll see where everybody's stacked up. But first and foremost, we got to talk about Arizona State and Fresno State, because that's who Arizona State has this week to round out non-conference play. The Sun Devils are going to take on a Fresno State team that is undefeated right now at 2-0. They currently hold the second longest active win streak in college football behind Georgia. So anytime that you are second to Georgia in anything, it means usually you're doing something correct. But look,
similar competition they're playing.
We've also got sound from Kenny Dillingham and Beau Baldwin that we'll get into in a little bit as well. But just kind of on paper, Shawn, from what you can tell about this Fresno State team, right? They've obviously beaten Purdue 39-35. They beat Eastern Washington 34-31. So they played in some close games against some all right opponents. But what are you expecting from this team against the Sun Devils?
I don't know, because this is 2 weeks in a row where ASU has played bad, and it does not seem like the other team had much of an effect on it. Like, it doesn't seem like the other team was the reason why ASU played bad. It's not like they were doing anything all that special. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like, as far as the passing game goes, you just got to stop Elijhah Badger. This offense has not shown that they are a threat. So defensively, I don't know what to expect from Fresno State, because the play calling has been disappointing. They haven't been getting the ball to the playmakers. So in that respect, it's like more of the same. Like, they're going to attempt to keep Rashada from getting the ball to his playmakers, to Jalin and to EKB and all of them. So like, that's going to be their game plan. Offensively, I feel like if I'm them, I'm trying to attack through the air, because based on what we've seen, what we saw last week, and at least in, I guess, part of week 1, like the defensively in the trenches, ASU's been a lot better than I think anybody realistically expected. Secondary, I think, has been a little shaky. Rowe didn't have a great game like we had talked about on Saturday. So if I'm Fresno State, I'm trying to attack the ASU secondary.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good test for Arizona State, right? Because you have the first game, you can kind of blame any of the issues. Not that the team was, but everybody on the outside can kind of blame the issues on the weather delay and the freshman quarterback, and it's his first game. Okay, you can toss that out the window. Second game, you're like, okay, this is our first real test, right? You got Oklahoma State. But if the same issues start to appear in game 3, then it's less of throwaways and more of a pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the last thing that you want to see if you're an Arizona State fan, is specifically when you get to the second half of a football game, is can this team find a way to not only move the football and keep their opponent honest, but can they find a way to put up points and build some confidence in this offense, try and get some rhythm going with Jaden Rashada and some of these weapons, right? Because we know Xavier Guillory's good at football. We know Jalin Conyers is good at football. We know Elijhah Badger is good at football. Okay, perfect. Then what's the fucking problem? Because you've got a bunch of good football players out there. They're all really talented. You got a staff that a lot of people believe in. Then figure it out. Right. And I know it's so much easier for us to sit here and say that because we're not in there. We're not the ones that have to come up with a game plan and a scheme. But at the end of the day, I know this team is depleted up front in the offensive line. I know Cade Briggs and Isaiah Glass, they missed a game against Oklahoma State. I know you've got Ben Coleman still out. You've got Emmit Bohle done for the season. So I get that this is a team depleted up front, and that doesn't help because that group was already one with big questions going into the season. But at the end of the day, it's football. You got to have the next man up mentality, and I know that's what they're saying, and I know at times the fact that you have some second or third string guys up front is going to present a little bit of chemistry issues for the Sun Devils, but at the end of the day, there's no excuse for this team not being able to score points.
No, I mean, I want to see ASU just be just more aggressive, like try and throw the ball downfield. So, whether it's Scadaboo running or it's these screen passes to somebody like Elijah who can make plays, like you got to keep defenses honest. And I don't feel like they did a really good job with that against Oklahoma State. I by and large, like it kind of felt like the Jets offense last night after Rodgers got hurt, where it was like even their passes were by the line and they weren't like everything was in front of the defense. I don't think that can happen again. Like, it obviously can't happen again because it didn't work last week. So I would like to see them be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, it never felt like like you said earlier, it never felt like the defense was the reason why. And I'm talking about Oklahoma State. It never felt like Oklahoma State's defense was the reason why Arizona State couldn't.
It felt like ASU beat themselves. It didn't feel like they lost to Oklahoma State necessarily.
Oh, it not only did it feel like they beat themselves, but it felt like they didn't even give themselves a chance to win. Is more so at least what it felt like. Like it felt like there was crippling like play calling. And again, I don't want to put the entire blame on Beau Baldwin because that's not necessarily the situation as well. Like there's so many different factors that go into it, but it just feels like the fan base wants to see something because they understand what the talent is. Yeah. But on the other side of it, it feels like the coaching staff maybe isn't necessarily ready to fully give the reins of the offense to Jaden Rashada, such a young quarterback.
Yeah.
So I feel like at a certain point, you're going to need to see one of those things give. Yeah, and I think it's going to probably be this week. I think you're going to probably see the Arizona State offense look a little bit different than it has in the last couple of weeks. Because of those personnel issues that we kind of went over earlier when it comes to,
it
some
has
of those
to
injuries.
It has to look different or we're going to lose again.
Yeah. And again, 1-2 at the end of conference play it's only one game, but 1-2 sounds significantly worse than 2-1 100%. When it comes to non-conference play. Just kind of looking at what Fresno State, again, has done over these first 2 weeks of the season. We mentioned they beat Purdue. They beat Eastern Washington. Their quarterback is Mikey Keene. He's averaging nearly 300 pass yards a game. He's completing 65% of his passes. He's thrown 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. An efficient quarterback. This is not a guy that's out there playing like Caleb Williams or Michael Penix Jr., but he's certainly a guy that's getting the job done for this Fresno State team. As a unit, specifically where I see them presenting some issues for Arizona State is when they get into that third down offense. They're converting nearly 50% on third down, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
Crazy clip.
It's a money down, right? It shouldn't be 50-50. The defense should usually, in my estimation, should have the advantage on third down. So I think that, at least early on, is going to be where this game is probably won for Arizona State. I think when you look at what Fresno State does defensively, they're a middle-of-the-pack team on defense when it comes to pass yards, run defense, etc. Offensively, though, they are near the top of the Mountain West when it comes to points, when it comes to yards. Like, this is a team that is going to put the pressure on Arizona State's defense. Yeah. And I think this may be crazy, but actually it's not that crazy. Arizona State has a much better chance in my mind to beat Fresno State than they did Oklahoma State. And the reason I say that is because I think Oklahoma State's defense is better than Fresno State's defense. Okay. And when you get to, obviously, Oklahoma State, threw out 3 quarterbacks. Obviously, that didn't necessarily help the Sun Devils the way we thought. But I think Arizona State's defense, when you get to week 3, you should have everything under your belt. And I really do feel like the defense is going to be the unit that can win this game for ASU.
Yeah, Mikey Keene, by the way, pride of Chandler, Arizona, Chandler High School. But the defense is going to have to step up. And the defense this is gonna have the defense in this program they're gonna start playing a lot of really big time offenses. Obviously in this conference, and then obviously in the future next year in the Big 12. You got to figure it out now.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's not like you're getting you're not getting any easier opponents.
Yeah.
What's their first conference game?
USC.
Yeah, they're pretty good at offense, aren't they?
Yeah, USC, and they get a gimme game against Cal, which isn't a gimme game because Cal hung around with Auburn, and then you get dogs, and you get who. You get Deion, Coach Prime Sanders, and Shador, and Travis, and those guys. Too. They're all right. They're all right at football.
So the defense has got to figure it out right now. I will say the one thing I was I mentioned, really encouraged by the pass rush in this game against Oklahoma State.
Absolutely.
So they can keep that up. That'll be big. I just need to tweet that Mallory is one of the top rated interior defensemen by PFF. Obviously BJ had a great game. And if they can do that, then the concerns about the secondary are going to be lesser, and hopefully that puts guys like Rowe, Jordan, all them in a position to have a big game if they're making if the front 7 can make the quarterback uncomfortable.
Yeah, you just look at, again, Fresno State having the second longest active win streak in the FBS. This is not a team that's just that you roll over.
Yeah, it's a winning culture.
I know it's not necessarily, again, a Georgia, Bama, in Oregon, whatever. But this is a team that has instilled a culture, and we'll get to Kenny talking about that here in a little bit. But obviously, they've had the 2 wins this season against Purdue, Eastern Washington. Their win streak goes back to beating Washington State. They beat Washington State pretty handedly in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, 29-6. Boise State, Wyoming, Nevada, UNLV, Hawaii, San Diego State, New Mexico, San Jose State. That's how far
There's
back.
respectable programs in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Their win streak goes back almost a whole year. Their last loss was a 40-20 loss October 8th of last year to Boise State, the first meeting between those 2 teams. But there are some teams in there that you hear and your ears kind of perk up, right? San Diego State, They beat them by 4 points. They got revenge on Boise State the second time around, beat them by 12 points.
Boise State was a solid team, or at least they were supposed to be a solid team last year. I remember being really impressed when Oregon State beat them the way they did at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and if you go back and you look at some of the losses that even Fresno State had at the start of the season before this win streak started, they lost to USC pretty badly, right? They lost 45-17. Oregon State, we know how good that Oregon State team was last year. They only lost to Oregon State last year by 3 points.
Yeah.
This is not
to be fair, that Oregon State team wasn't good because of their offense, but still.
Yeah, no, their defense is
legit.
But kind of getting back to it, right? I think ASU's defense is going to, again, put the offense in a position to win this football game. Now, if the offense is incapable of going and moving the football the way that we've seen them do it, specifically in the second half, then it's a problem. Then it's a pattern. Then it's okay, something's got to change.
Yeah. And I think they did well last game, right? The defense was good, and they're talking about it in the chat, the field positioning is huge, right? We talked about it, not to put too much pressure on one guy and Josh Carlson, but he's got to do a better job at flipping the field. If ASU's offense is not going to produce, they weren't capable of really. ASU's offense was very rarely, if at all, in threatening positions last game. They were 1 for 1 in the red zone, and so if that is going to continue, which obviously it shouldn't, it can't, but if it is, then obviously the defense and special teams are definitely going to have to step up to give this team a chance to win. Like the defense did last week. They stepped up and kept ASU in that game when no one else is really doing their jobs. Yeah,
Kenny Dillingham spoke to the media both yesterday and today, and he addressed some of the issues and concerns that, people were talking about specifically as it relates to some of the personnel and the injuries that this team is facing, and then also just the offense being able to adapt. This is what Kenny had to say.
We're just adapting to our personnel, and that's part of year one offensively, is you've got to see in games what is productive and what is not, and then you've got to be willing to change. And right now, what we're doing is not getting it done. Consistently. Bottom line, it's a results-based deal. And it doesn't matter the why. It doesn't matter if it's accumulation of things. So you've got to be willing to maybe change some things in order to try to get things done. So that's really it. We're not making catastrophic changes. It's just little pieces of philosophy on early downs that you may have to tweak in order to try to move the ball at a high rate.
At least he was honest.
Yeah.
He didn't dance around it, right? We're just not getting it done.
Yeah.
And he said it before. The defense plays with passion. The defense sometimes where they make mistakes is they've almost got too much passion, too much aggression. And offensively, they just need to find some of it.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong. When you look at the games and you look at when they're in prime time positions, it's a problem. It's a problem that they're not able to convert 3rd and 1, 4th and 1.
Yeah.
It's a problem that they're not able to move the sticks with well-designed plays for Jalin Conyers and Elijhah Badger. These are problems that I get you're a first-year coaching staff. I get you're playing with a freshman quarterback. I get your offensive line is banged up. But at the end of the day, there are no excuses for this.
Yeah, no. It is, and I mean, it's good to hear that they're not panicking by any means. These aren't wholesale changes he's talking about. Minor adjustments, which I think this team is talented, and I don't think it will require any kind of wholesale changes. I do think they could just be a handful of minor adjustments away from being a pretty good football team. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how those adjustments come to fruition. But yeah, at the end of the day, people just need to do their jobs, and the offense didn't do that. It'll be really interesting to see, because he mentioned kind of philosophical changes, how they approach some of those 4th and shorts that they obviously were pretty aggressive on Saturday. It'll be really interesting to see if that approach changes at all. But Donaldson, there's flashes. I think you just need to see them kind of put some consistency together, and kind of getting in now. It's early, first year. There's going to be a little bit of growing pains. I don't think it's acceptable to have lost against Oklahoma State in the way they did, right? I don't think they're making excuses in that sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think people that are calling for people to lose their jobs, player or coach wise, that's absurd.
Yeah,
it's been 2 games, and they won one of them, even though it wasn't good. They won one of the games. So what are we doing? I think it's going to be fine. This team was never going to go undefeated. So
they weren't?
No.
Damn,
there was a chance, but no. I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think the fact that Kenny is acknowledging that there's adjustments that need to be made is the first step there.
Yeah, he's not blind to this. And it's interesting because I think from a fan perspective, a lot of people, and rightfully so in my personal opinion, and I think you agree with me here, is the second half is a concern. You don't want to be labeled a first half team. You don't want to be labeled a second half team. You want to be able to be a team that plays a complete
it's much
game.
better to be labeled a second half team than a first half team.
It is. Being just a first half team is tough, and whether that falls on adjustments, whether that falls on simply being unable to execute, ironically enough, consistently in the second half, then that is what it is. Beau Baldwin, the offensive coordinator, who is obviously taking some heat in the chat from some people who don't like the play calling, did address the struggles in the second half, and he gave somewhat of an interesting answer.
No, I think sometimes that gets read into it too much. I mean, more than anything, though, I'm not saying you don't address it. You address it. You say, what are the issues? And you come back to it. But to say there's one thing or put your finger, I can't. I can't look at it. I don't think it's fatigue. I don't think it's, and really, with the exception of, staying a little bit higher over the top, they didn't change much. They really didn't. Not from their structure, not from what they do. So it's just a matter of us doing a better job of, getting back to some things, maybe mixing it up a little bit, but at the same time also just executing some of the same things against some of the same scheme.
Shawn, what do you think the second half issues are stemming from? And what do you think they are?
I don't know. It's really I am hesitant to say that they have second half issues because, again, said it multiple times. Week one, the second half of week one is a throwaway for me. You have a 2.5 hour rain delay. I'm not putting any stock into anything I saw in that second half. And then Oklahoma State, obviously the second half wasn't great, but let's not pretend they looked like USC in the first half. They weren't. It wasn't like the first half was they were just world beaters. So it is weird where I agree with Bo. I doubt there's any one thing. I don't know what it is. I think it is maybe a lack of, maybe they lose focus at the half, right? Like these guys clearly get very hyped up beginning of the game and like all of that. And then they come out in the first half and they kind of get a realization of what they're capable of doing. Maybe that they are the better team and they don't really keep up the intensity in the second half. Like I don't know. I hope that's not the case. Like I hope it is just they had the first game, which, like I said, is a throwaway. Second game was a bad second half against a okay team, I guess. See what I did there? Okay, State. But I don't know. I do think I agree with him in this. Like I think people might be reading into it a little bit too much. It's not obviously not encouraging, but as far as I personally am concerned, they had one bad second half this year, and again, first game throwaway. So let's see what happens to Fresno State. And obviously, it's something they're gonna like. If they come out flat in this second half, then it's like, really, what are we doing? Because now at this point, it's happened. Despite how much stock I put into it, they have had two bad second halves. It's a problem that they clearly recognize now, because Beau's talking about it. Like if they don't come out with the intensity in the second half against Fresno State, well, then we definitely have a real problem. But as of right now, I don't think. I'm not putting too much stock into it.
Here's my thing, right, is just kind of breaking down the second halves combined, right? At that point, you've got a full game of second halves, pretty much. You got 4 quarters now, 2 third quarters, 2 fourth quarters. And in that game-long span, at this point, they've mustered 3 points in the second half. 3 points in the second half. They have been outscored mightily by their opponents, who, again, I think we agree are lesser opponents, regardless of the outcomes of the game.
Yeah, I mean, week 1, that's objective.
And there's got to be some sort of rhythm to it. I know Will in the chat earlier brings up an interesting point about the play calling doesn't fit the style of Jaden, kind of like calling a game for Zach Gallen when Ryan Nelson's pitching. Kind of got to learn to pitch backwards at times. I think this is interesting because when you look at Arizona State's quarterbacks, you look at Jaden Rashada, Drew Pine, and Trent Bourguet, Drew Pine able to practice, today for really the first time in a long time where he's able to participate. It looks like at full strength. So I do believe he is available this week if Arizona State needs him. But it's unique because they all have such different attributes and different play styles.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I feel like I said this. I don't remember if I said it on air or off air to you on Saturday, but like when we were talking about the play calling, I had said like if they're going to call the game like this, then start Trenton Bourguet. Like he's going to be better for that. If all you're going to have your quarterback do is just throw screen passes and you're not going to like the reason that Jaden Rashada is starting is because of his arm talent. Yeah. And if you're not going to utilize the arm talent. And it's not like he's not the fastest quarterback that we have. I know obviously Pine's been hurt, but he's the more athletic, more agile quarterback of the 3. He's not as experienced as Trenton. So like if you're not going to call the game to utilize the one reason that Jaden's starting, then why the hell is he starting? It doesn't make any sense to anybody. So I definitely agree with that. Like I keep saying I want to see them be more aggressive down the field because that's what Jaden Rashada is special. That's what makes him special. And that opens up it opens you up to do those things near the line of scrimmage, whether that's running or those screen passes and stuff like that, and allow the playmakers to make plays because the defense has to stay honest. And I don't think they have done a good job about that. So again, I don't want this to be misconstrued. By no means am I saying that Trenton Bourguet should be starting over Jaden Rashada necessarily. I'm just saying if you're going to call the game like that, then why are you starting Rashada? Because Trenton is more built for that kind of offense.
No, I think it's a definite valid question, and we talk a lot about the personnel on this team, right? Because you bring up the injuries, you bring up the idea that there are certain players, specifically at quarterback, that I feel like give the offense different strengths versus different weaknesses. Beau Baldwin was asked about just the personnel and how the game is kind of called, and this is what he had to say about his confidence in the guys that he does have out there right now.
That you have to focus on what you have in front of you. You don't look in the rearview mirror because it doesn't do you any good and it doesn't matter. And if you try to predict what's going to happen in the future because of what just happened in the past, you're just setting yourself up. You have to focus on what are we doing with the guys that are in front of us right now, the squad that we have, the system that's in place. What are we doing to execute on this next play, on this next drive, in this next ball game, whatever that might be. You got to be careful of manifesting bad things coming down the road because you keep talking about things that happened in the past. So that's how I've tried to deal with it. And I haven't always been perfect. I've dealt with those like, oh man, it's going to be a long 7-game run. I've done that before back, but right now I'm not thinking that way at all. I love the 11 guys that were out there today and then the guys that rotated in and what we're doing. And I feel very confident because all of their focus is on exactly what is in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that like at a certain point you can't dwell on the negatives too much, but like, I don't know. I think especially for a guy like Jaden, like sitting here and talking about all the things that are going wrong with this offense is not going to help him at all. I think that's more of stuff that the coaches have to address. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not. I feel like I'm a unique person in the sense that like I don't rock with all this manifestation shit. Like I'm very much in reality. Like whether or not the last performance was bad should not have no effect on what happens next. In the sense that like,
but it should, in my mind, if you're going to learn from it.
Well, yeah, you got to learn from it. But I'm saying like, if you are sitting there game 3 and you're like, you get to the second half and you start thinking, oh man, this is the second half and we struggle at second halves. You're mentally weak and you need to be better. In my mind, like that just can't happen, or else you're not meant for this. And I know it's easy for me to say behind a desk and a microphone, but if you want to be great at a sport like this, you can't let those things bother you. It's a cliche with quarterbacks having the short-term memory. Like that has to be the case. You can't dwell on the negatives, or else it's not going to be good for anybody. So I certainly agree with that point, but I don't think it's necessarily the most red hot take or anything like that.
LTC in the chat, you can still preserve his red shirt at 3 games, right? Yes. I do believe that you could still, Arizona State could in theory still preserve Jaden's red shirt if they chose to do so.
They're still preserving my red shirt. That's why I haven't seen any field, any action on the field yet.
Gotcha. I do want to get to Will's comment before we get to the last Kenny bite here. What's with the utter silence surrounding Brigade since Rashada started? There's been no mention of him at all, which is very odd, especially since he was QB1 for most of fall camp. Shawn, when that was going, when that last clip was going, we talked a little bit about it, just you and me. Like, he wasn't really QB1 throughout fall camp. It was like 1A and 1B the entire time. And
1C, really. Like that was kind of the whole point of how Kenny ran camp, is that there was no ones. And so I'm not really. I don't think that the idea that he was QB1 is exactly accurate. And then second, like outside of that, he's the backup. Like. And I mean, he's been a backup his whole life. I love Trenton, and like I just said, I think if they called the game the way they did against Oklahoma State, they would have been better off with Trenton playing. But I don't think it's good for anybody to be sitting here talking about the backup quarterback when you have a young starter that is trying to build his confidence. I mean, see, we literally just saw RG3 was talking about exactly that today after the Aaron Rodgers thing. He was talking about how a GM told him that like. It's obviously different, but like he's like, we would sign you, but you'd be a distraction to our starter. Like if we sit here and obviously it's not our job necessarily to be concerned with the confidence of the starting quarterback. Like we got to do what we got to do, but like he's the backup quarterback right now. I don't know, like nothing really to talk about with Trenton.
Yeah, like again, these guys are going out there obviously with the intention of trying to win that starting job every single day, regardless of them being the backup quarterback. But I don't think Trenton Bourguet has an edge at this point over any of the other quarterbacks in that room, right? Like,
well, because the one thing with Trenton is like if we're talking about physical attributes, like he's third, right? He doesn't have the arm talent of Rashada. He doesn't have the athleticism of Pine. What makes him special is his head between the ears. Yeah. So like in terms of the edge, like that's the edge. But again, if you're not, you got to be calling the game a certain way for that to matter all that much. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Again, the quarterback conversation, the quarterback competition ended in the fall. Jaden Rashada was named the starting quarterback week 1, week 2. Okay. So regardless of fans wanting to turn to Trenton Bourguet, that is, I guess, what it is in their mind, obviously from what he was able to accomplish last season.
And there's a lot going on here, right? Like obviously the bowl ban is hanging over the program. And so, like, yeah, you're obviously trying to win games, and Rashada gives you an opportunity to do that. But, like, there's also there has to be a certain amount of thinking about the future. Playing Bourguet this year, the best it's going to accomplish is a more or less worthless 8-win season, whatever. Like, and I don't think they would win 8 games regardless of who's at quarterback. What I'm saying is that, like, you don't really gain a whole lot from a program perspective. If you're Kenny, like, you don't really gain a whole lot by playing Trenton Bourguet, especially if he's not going to give you a clear cut like advantage over Jaden, which I don't think he does at this point.
Well, in regards to your comment, I will say, I'm trying to figure out the right way to put this. Not everybody has all the facts.
Yeah,
is what I will say to that.
That's the other thing, and like, obviously, we probably know more than a lot of people in the chat, but like, we don't even know everything. So it's like, as all of this stuff, especially with the quarterback position, and there's so when you have something like the extenuating circumstance of the bowl ban, it is a specific situation with quarterbacks. Not every team comes into a season with 3 potential starters, and then also just college football nowadays. Like, you know damn well that if you're not playing a quarterback that has a lot of eligibility and hasn't transferred yet, like Jaden Rashada, there's always the risk of losing them. Now, by no means do I think that is like on the table or anything, but it's something that has to be considered now in college football. And so, like, I don't know. This whole situation is just far more. I think it's more than just.
It's far more complex.
Who was the best quarterback?
It's so much more complex, and because people are listening on audio, I will read Will's comment. He says, "I bring it up because there's buzz surrounding the Drew Pine news. If he's already surpassed Jaden, the news as it relates to Drew Pine is just simply the fact that he's back at practice and practicing. And Bourguet was 1A/1B when Rashada wasn't, so it was very strange." Will also asking, "Does a worthless season with Trent worth the extra year of having?"
I mean, that is fair, right? Like, if you're going the red shirt route, I guess, like, that's fair. But then you're asking, then does necessarily, if Drew Pine is now healthy again and is available for Saturday, you're asking the question, like, say, like, obviously hypothetically, if we're redshirting Jaden, right? Like, is Trenton better than Drew? I don't know that that's necessarily true either. You'd have to see both of them play, and like Drew played at Notre Dame, man. Like, Drew is a talented quarterback. There's
some high level games.
A very real possibility that he would give the team a better chance to win, maybe even more than Jaden, but than Trenton. So I don't know, man. Like you said, Totri, people don't have all the information. No. I don't think we have all the information.
I will say we have a lot more information.
We do have a lot more information.
So just bear with us here.
Yeah.
And just understand what we're trying to tell you. Not everybody has all the facts when it relates to everything. But PHNX Sun Devils does have a lot of the facts. We'll keep it.
We have more facts than you can even imagine.
Than anybody.
There's facts that you didn't even think were a possibility that we have.
That are facts. One fact that we do like to share with you guys every single day is Four Peaks. Guys, if you didn't know, Four Peaks is so damn good, and it's even better when you're drinking maybe a Wow or a little hazy and you're watching some college football or some NFL football. Beer and
only
football.
For college football.
Beer and football just go together, man.
Agreed.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Almost as beautiful as pumpkin pie when it comes to this type of year. And guess what? Four Peaks is combining it, guys. It's pumpkin porter season officially. Get in the fall state of mind with notes of nutmeg, allspice, and toasted pie crust. Shawn over here is just in tears of happiness. It's back on the shelves
good!
and in draft lines throughout the valley, guys.
I don't need my glasses.
Visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite brewery tours and events. Stein Holding, Oktoberfest, and Haunted Brewery tours are right around the corner. Check out at Four Peaks Brewer, at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest in Arizona's hometown brewery. You do got to be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly.
It's so good. Listen, it's really good.
Yeah, no, I can tell you're losing it.
It's really good. You know what else is really good?
Making money.
Money. I tried to make money yesterday. I did not do very well, but I still enjoyed it. It gave me reasons to care about things I wouldn't have cared about otherwise. Like, actually, no, I only bet on teams I cared about. Either way, you can either emotionally hedge, which I should have done last night on the
You should have.
New York Jets, because I've been saying all damn year that the Bills were frauds. I've been saying it all damn summer that the Jets were here, and I got caught up in the Bills' fervor moments before the game, and I wrote with the Bills, and I lost money. But if you're gonna lose money, And if you're going to win money, especially if you're going to win money, do it on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Football's back in full swing. I learned that the hard way. And so you got to get it on the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
Yeah.
It's the official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. So get in on the NFL week 2, or I guess now week 3 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code PHNX to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code PHNX. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.sot1800. I'm guessing that's supposed to be a dot. I'm guessing it's www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resorts, Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Do you have a pick of the week?
DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week is Chargers money line. That's what it is. They're going to bounce back.
Week 2.
The Tennessee Titans.
Ooh,
they're going to bounce back.
That game.
They're going to bounce back. I haven't seen the Chargers be able to run between the tackles like that since a man by the name of LaDainian Tomlinson was running for the Chargers.
Yeah, start putting some respect on Austin Eckler's name. Yeah, you got the Chargers -3 against the Titans. Mine is going to be, oh boy. Mine is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders +8.5 against the Buffalo Bills. There is no reason the Buffalo Bills should be favored by over a touchdown after what we saw yesterday. Are you shitting me? That Josh Allen might be the worst quarterback in football.
Stop it.
He played like it. He played worse than Zach Wilson, who was the worst quarterback in football. I'm taking the Raiders -8 or +8.5. That seems egregious. I'm in on the Jimmy G. Is Jimmy G healthy? Did he come back? I know he got like kind of shooken up. I think he had a concussion at one point or something like that. Did he finish that game? I don't know. Figured you would be paying attention, Mr. AFC West.
For the Raiders?
Yeah, Mr. AFC West.
I was busy.
Scout your enemies.
I was having war flashbacks of Tyreek Hill. That's what I was doing.
Dude. Are Tyreek and Tua the best quarterback receiver combo?
No, I don't want to talk about
Are
that.
they?
No.
You don't think so?
They are.
Who do you think is
But I think Tyreek Hill's the best receiver in football, but I don't think it's particularly close.
Well, that's why I don't mean, I by no means mean like Tua is the best, I don't by talent. I just think there's no receiver quarterback combination that's better at doing receiver. Like, I think it's them.
Receiver?
Oh, you think Mahomes, Kelsey? Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I was thinking just receiver because I think the reason I brought that up is because I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are easy number 2, but it's just you could put 9 me's out there with them and you would get the same.
Jamar Chase and Joe are better too. Because I think Joe's a better quarterback and Jamar's not that far off from Tyreek.
I mean, I'll listen. I think those are top 3. I love Steph, man. I love what Josh and Steph do, and it's hard to tell because I guess he's the only one to throw to. So
he's like, that's neither.
We weren't planning on talking about NFL.
No, just there. Beware of Bulldogs. We recapping the game Monday. Who are you?
I'm guessing it's
Fresno State.
Fresno State fan.
Well, we
will be recapping the game on Monday if that's what you're asking.
There you go. I mean, we're going to be talking a lot about Fresno State all week long, so definitely subscribe and check in for those notifications at all times. Shawn in the chat, I thought Dilly was an offensive guru, yet ASU can't move the ball in the second half. It's super frustrating. Again, it's super early. It's still super early in the season. You have a young quarterback. Again, you're depleted up front. That's not necessarily an excuse for their inability to do a whole lot in the second half, but I do think you will see you're going to see a different offense this week.
And also, like, I get that 2 games of Deion against kind of subpar opponents and Lincoln Riley and the just machine that is USC have kind of changed people. But like, you're not supposed to be good in your first year. Like, programs aren't built they're not supposed to be built in the day. I think you give it some time, you'll start seeing, better offensive linemen come
fans
through.
Are going to like the
line
offense they see on Saturday.
I think,
telling them right now.
Time. Plus, Kenny's not he's not a dictator over the offense. He's not the only one responsible.
Very true.
For the offense. He's got more in charge of than the offense, and also Beau Baldwin exists. So I don't know.
Oh, Beware Bulldogs, official athletics pod for Fresno State, and will be in town this weekend. Beware. Hit me up on Twitter, and we'll see if we can get you on the show
PHNX _
tomorrow to talk a little bit about the matchup. Yeah, hit us up, PHNX _ Sun Devils, and we'll see if we can figure something out.
Fresno's in California.
There you go. Thanks for answering Tony's question. Tony, aren't you a Wildcats person? It's the U of A education.
Yeah, not big geography people down there.
Hey, I'm still here. Okay.
Look, we are going to go ahead and get into our Pac-12 Power Rankings because a lot transpired in week 2 in the Pac-12, whether it be SC or Utah or Washington. Shawn, so I do want to start with your Pac-12 Power Rankings and just kind of how it's shifted over the last couple weeks.
I mean, this is my first official one on the show, so I didn't have a movement. Yeah. But first off, as you'll see, the picture here is of Cal's quarterback. I just got to give, they're still 11th. I considered putting them higher, but I got to give some love to Cal, going to Auburn, competing with an SEC school. They're not the absolute poverty program joke that they were last year. I think they've taken a significant step up towards being a little respectable. So still 11th, but I want to give them their flowers there. For me, the biggest thing here is Utah. I do not know what to make of that team.
That's fair.
2 close games against teams that they should be significantly better than, but they've won them. And I got to give them respect for everything that they've done. Did Cam Rising play last week? He's still out, right?
Yeah, he's still out.
Yeah, so there's that. Like, I think they're going to be significantly better when Cam Rising comes back. So the Utah one is interesting, but man, this is different than last year's. Last year, I feel like it was always like, where do you put USC and Utah 1-2, and then you kind of had like 2 or 3 teams, and then there was just a clusterfuck in the middle of just mediocrity. There's a lot of good teams in this conference. I think when you look at those top 4, whether it's or really 2 through 4, I guess, Washington, Oregon State, kind of interchangeable to me. And I feel the same way about 6 and 7 with Colorado and Wazoo. I think those are 2 comparable teams. And then obviously a UCLA at 8, Arizona at 9, Arizona State at 10. Arizona and Arizona State, I just don't know what to make of yet. They are, I think, both more talented than their 1-1 records, but they have clear problems. And if Jaden Rashad is going to throw the ball away 4 times, which not all of them were his fault, I get that. But if that's going to happen, that team is going to not do much. But man, do they. McMillan, dog. Like, they have some tools, but so does ASU. So it's the bottom of the conference is just question marks for me. I don't think any of those teams, with the exception of Stanford, are necessarily locked into the bottom of the conference. But based on what we've seen so far, it's hard to put them much higher than that.
Yeah, Shawn,
USC is still clear number 1.
Shawn in the chat, Utah is undefeated. Rising hasn't played yet. I think they're easily top 3, not 5th. Shawn.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me, is just that, like, I think they easily could be top 3. I just need to make sure that they are still that good when Cam Rising comes back before I give them that credit, because they've lost people. Like, their tight ends were their biggest weapons last year, and they lost all of them.
He's coming off a big injury,
and it is a big injury, right? Like, it's no guarantee that Cam Rising is necessarily going to be Cam Rising of old. I don't by any means think he's going to be like bad or anything, but it's still. Yeah, I still have too many questions about them. The other teams above them have been playing out of their minds. I've always been big on Oregon State. Washington, Oregon's offenses are just legit.
Yeah.
And then USC's USC. I will say this about USC. I do not think they're winning this conference. That defense is not good enough.
No, but you score enough points.
Yeah, you do. But you saw what happened last year when they played Oregon State. They run into a real defense. It's no guarantee that the offense is putting up 40 points every week.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Shawn is not going to like my rankings if he doesn't like that you have Utah at 5. Let's go ahead and pull up my power rankings. USC still atop the conference at 1. That's not changing anytime soon. Washington, though, a big jumper, moving up 3 spots. I just love what Michael Penix Jr. and that Washington team is doing. They're playing as a full unit, and I think it is really, really impressive. Michael Penix Jr. Definitely making some noise. Oregon does fall from 2 to 3. This is a team that I expected to take care of business against Texas Tech, and it just got a little ugly there down the stretch. Oregon State staying at 4. This is a team that is, I can't wait to see what they do against some Pac-12 opponents. Utah.
It's supposed to be 6.
Yeah.
I don't know how I messed that up twice.
I do have Colorado at 5 and Utah at 6. I just think what Colorado has done recently has been wildly impressive. And that's why I have Utah falling from. Yeah.
I don't know what happened here. Because the graphic I made has Colorado above Utah, but I know, like this isn't Elijah's fault either because I sent this. The same one got sent twice somehow. I don't know, man.
It is what it is. But yeah, I definitely have Colorado at 5, Utah at 6. Did not think I'd have Colorado at fucking 5 this early in the conference.
We gotta listen. I know that this is Colorado Hater Central.
I don't wanna.
I know that this is Colorado. No, but what I'm saying is that like. Oh, we need to pump the brakes a little bit. TCU is not TCU of last year, and also they kind of lucked their way. They didn't luck their way. They deserved it, but like they were never even coming into the college football playoff. They were 4. So like, hey, you missed. You didn't. Hey, rewind it because I gave Cal their fucking flowers. But I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought because I got distracted by Big Pokey. But
it is what it is.
Yeah. Colorado. Yeah. Nebraska's Nebraska still, dog. Like, they beat a bad team.
But they handled them.
No, they did. I don't want to say that, like, I don't think Colorado was, like, actually the 11th best team in the conference or anything like that. But I think they are... I just think we got to pump the brakes before we start, like, crowning them Pac-12 champions or something like that. Not that either of us are doing that. I'm just saying.
All right, let's see what I got for the rest of my ranking. So, yeah, this is what it should read. Colorado 5, Utah falling all the way to 6. Again, this is Utah played pretty sloppy against Baylor, a team that you expect them to win regardless of who's playing quarterback. So I'm interested to see what they
I like all the Pac-12, like Big 12 matchups that we're getting.
Oh, yeah, they're fun. They're super fun. Wazoo at 7. They move up from 9 to 7, up 2 spots. I like what Cam Ward's doing. They are. They're a team that is, when you get to conference play, watch out.
Cam Ward can make your day miserable.
They can play spoiler, I think.
100%.
UCLA up 2 spots to 8. I hate
is
that
UCLA
they're okay.
the most kind of like
they shouldn't
irrelevant
be in the top
team?
25.
Aren't they? They're just kind of like who cares about UCLA?
They're just fucking there, and I don't like Chip Kelly.
Yeah, I don't like his face.
Yeah, his face he looks like fucking Humpty Dumpty. That's what Chip Kelly looks like. Arizona at 9. I do have Arizona falling a couple spots because obviously the loss. I do have them ahead of Arizona State because they lost to a better team.
Yeah, and I think that's fair at this point. I consider putting Cal above Arizona State.
I didn't because Cal still lost, and until Cal proves.
Yeah, that's the reason I didn't. And Cam Rising didn't die, but he hasn't played yet. So that is why, if you listen to when I was talking, which apparently you fucking
if you listen, Shane,
he did just land.
Okay, well.
Blame him.
I'm glad you had a safe flight. But
has Whittingham deserted the team?
I think that the top 5, I had them 5th. I think the top 5 of the conference is not interchangeable necessarily, but like they're all really good. I just need to see that Utah is still Utah when Cam Rising comes back because they have not necessarily been. They haven't been last year's Utah through these first 2 games by any means. So I just want to make sure that they're okay when he comes back, and that Cam is okay, like you mentioned.
I'm with you. Look, guys, there's 40 of you. Well, 37 now in the chat. Do Bobby Hurley a solid. Hit that like button for us. Bobby is always begging. He's pleading. He's just asking for a like here.
Can I have some more?
A specific. Is that what Bobby Hurley sounds like when he's?
We've talked to him. You know that.
Oh yeah, you're right. He is got an accent.
He's
all
British.
Of a sudden.
He's a British orphan. He's a British orphan boy.
He's a British orphan boy. Bobby
Please,
Hurley?
sir, can I have some more?
That's honestly me every time I go to Circle K and I ask for new deals and they respond with a new deal.
Of course.
Every single time. Guys, Circle K is America's thirst shop. They've got a new free membership program. Shawn, did you hear me?
I heard you. And free?
And free.
Honestly, it's almost like they're paying you because they're giving you money off gas.
And it's almost like...
So you're kind of just robbing Circle K.
And they're telling you to. They're rob us, please.
Yeah, they're endorsing it. Well, do not rob Circle. They did not.
No, don't rob Circle K and don't sniff the gas.
Totri, yeah. See, that's funny because that was clearly.
I'm sorry, Max.
Was clearly
I'm
an
so
accident.
sorry. It was such an accident,
Do
man.
not rob Circle K.
Such an accident. Don't do that. Sign up for the free membership program. Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fills. I'm so red right now.
I know you
get every 6 free on a selection of Circle K products, guys. pizza, coffee, iced cold fountain drinks. Holy hell. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply.
This into GTA.
At participating locations. Woo! Visit CircleK.com for details. Shawn, take it away. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Well, I don't even...
Burrito
Also,
Express.
don't rob Burrito Express because they've been robbed before. If you stole, whoever stole the helmet all those days ago, I don't know if it ever got returned, but you're a rat bastard and you're dead to me. Do not rob Burrito Express. Go and pay the hardworking people your real money for one of the best burritos of all time. I would argue the best breakfast burrito I've ever had. I wouldn't argue. I would tell you that it's the best breakfast burrito I've ever had because it is. And it's even better because I know that every time I have a breakfast burrito, I'm directly helping ASU athletics.
Directly.
Is it direct?
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't direct be donating to ASU athletics? Isn't this kind of more of an indirect? Either way, you're supporting ASU athletics. So make sure you head over to Burrito Express, grab a burrito, and follow Burrito Express on Twitter at BurritoEXP.
We got Josh Hunt in the chat.
Yo.
Please don't do that, Josh. Josh just gonna point at the screens when the cashier asks me why I'm sticking to the Circle K. Yeah, let's not do that.
Don't do it. Do not rob.
Unless it's like Saul or Shawn on the screen, then you can do that. But as long as my face is in the clear.
No, I'm going to say you still shouldn't stick up the Circle K.
You're right.
I don't know. That part.
Totri, you're just digging yourself deeper into
the hole's
this
already
hole.
been dug at this point. I'm just gonna hop in, to be honest with you.
Unreal.
Let's talk about some guys in the league. Why don't we? Brandon Ayuk, Rachaad White, a couple of Sun Devils that I'd say had some pretty good days. Specifically looking at Brandon Ayuk. 8 catches on 8 targets, 129 receiving yards, and 2 tutties. And one of those tutties was actually the very first touchdown of NFL Sunday. And it was beautiful.
It was
Brandon
beautiful.
Ayuk might be his year.
I was gonna say I think Homeboy's gonna have himself a year. I mean that team's got weapons for days, and obviously if you're that defense, if you're a defense playing San Francisco, you need to focus on Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. Like Ayuk's gonna have opportunities. And listen, I guess Brock Purdy is just good at football, man. I don't think at this point we gotta stop. Like I guess he's just a good quarterback.
Max is waiting for me.
I don't understand it with a bat for the record. But I just Brock Purdy's good, I guess, and I think Brandon Ayuk's gonna have a great year. Yeah. I mean, I am great on it. As far as Rachaad White's concerned, got carries, nothing like gonna blow you away statistically, but
17 carries, 39 yards.
Maybe hey, Baker's. I don't know what to make of that team. I think the worst thing that could happen to that team is that Baker plays well and they convince themselves that Baker's that guy. Because he was a first overall pick. But listen, I mean, realistically, I think this team, if they want to be successful, is going to have to rely on Rachaad White more and more throughout the year.
Yeah. I love just seeing him with a bigger role.
Backup running back, number 44 from Syracuse University, Shawn Tucker. It is the Shawn DePaz backfield in Tampa Bay, Florida.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it is. Between Baker... I actually hate Baker. I have a complicated relationship with Baker. I hated him, but also Baker's game winner.
You love people that are hated.
It depends on why you hate him, though. Because like I hated Baker off rip. I've told the story many times. I had many people when they were all drafted tell me that Baker was going to be better than Josh Allen, which is absurd. Although I will say now, yes, I was telling people that. Baker Mayfield, who's a small man, telling a defensive back in the NFL to get his weight up.
Not just any defensive back.
Yeah,
A good defensive back.
Get your weight up, little boy. Get your weight up, young buck.
You call anybody in the NFL
little boy.
You're
son.
That's a
little
fucking
boy.
problem. You should be 6'8". You shouldn't be. I just don't understand it.
I'm pretty sure we had Greg Dortch. I mean, we did have Greg Dortch here because he was recording a show, and then I think he was just walking out without any of his stuff. Emma was just following him with his wallet and keys, being like, "Are you going to take this?" That was wild. We got a lot going on here at All City. We haven't mentioned this yet.
Oh yeah, holy shit!
PHLY, baby.
Philadelphia.
Your quarterback also might be bad. We'll see. I don't
let's hope
believe that.
that's my
Jalen Hurts,
fantasy football quarterback. Yeah, go check that
all
out.
the good quarterback stuff. But yeah,
PHLY.
PHLY, they launched today. They've had a few other shows. Set looks dope, gotta say. And their staff, dude. Big
heated
hitters.
Heated. Did you see the, I think the PHLY Eagle show this morning was topping out already at like 750.
Yeah, it was absurd. It was absurd. Hey, I mean, Philly, Those fans are different.
They need a Rocky show.
Well, yeah, we were talking about that. We need to do RCKY and just do an analysis on the whole Rocky universe, all the movies.
Do
and
G-rated, I can't see why they can't do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Kidding me? It's
That's what's great
Philly
about
culture.
All City. We
They have
can
a
do whatever.
statue for a fictional character in the city. Like, that's insane. Who does that?
Philadelphia.
Yeah, because
that's how much they love
crazy.
their sports, man. That's how much.
But yeah,
love their
I mean,
sports.
the Philly crew is
Go give them a
unreal.
follow,
There's
guys.
going to be great content coming over there. Already is.
Yeah, PHLY Sports.
And they have, their teams are usually fun to root for. They have winners over there.
Yeah, they do.
They win championships.
They do. Regardless, guys, OG's has winners as well. Every single
True.
flavor is a winner over at OG's. Red apple, watermelon, peach, all the creams that they have actually had in OG's. This is gonna sound. It's not gonna sound weird. It's just I didn't think that I'd ever get to this point in my life. I took an OG's the other night and I finished Suits, the show that I was watching on Netflix. Great show. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I finished it and I'm like, well, what the fuck do I watch now? Right? But I was so high that the only thing I could think of was to go to YouTube and watch an hour-long video
Oh, God.
of just fails of 2023. So I'm laying in bed from like 10 to 11, high off my ass, just
Dude.
watching fail videos for an hour, and my roommate probably thought I was crazy. I was just laughing my ass off.
You, like, for someone who generally has their shit together and is like you don't present as a stoner.
Yeah.
When you get high, you turn into the most stoner motherfucker ever. Like, you want snacks and you watch random shit.
Oh,
and
also
you,
watch 2 episodes of Predators on Netflix, which is just like Discovery Channel.
Oh, yeah.
So that shit was fucking fire. Taking OGs and watching Animal Planet.
Nature while high.
Different. It's
You
different.
could also just go out into real nature.
Well, yeah, be safe though.
Yeah, be safe.
Be safe, guys. Check
Enjoy
out
responsibly.
OG's. Check out our friends at OG's Brands for yourself and try one or a few of their many delicious flavors. Check them out across all socials at OG's Brands and online at ogsbrands.com to find them at a local dispo near you. You do got to be 21 plus to enjoy responsibly.
One of my favorite things to do, honestly, one of my genuinely favorite things to do is to get high and then eat food because food just tastes better when that's the case. But you don't need to get high because it's basically impossible to make illegal Pete's taste better than it already does. I mean, it's the queso is basically a drug. I get high every time I have some. It's genuinely some of the best food you can get in Tempe. So make sure you check them out. The weather's nice today.
It was beautiful
Double digits?
at practice today. Beautiful.
Margarita and patio. I would say margarita in a patio is a vibe for a day like today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some tacos, maybe a bowl. I don't know. Maybe just an IV of queso. Who knows? We'll see where the night takes us when we head over to Illegal Pete's. And you can see where the night takes you too, because Illegal Pete's is your go-to spot this summer. Stop by for happy hours, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. every single day at every location. Illegal Pete's is the go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer for 28 years. They're older than me.
Older than both of us.
Older than all of us.
Yeah.
Older than all 3 of us.
Donald in the chat. That's a deep rabbit hole. I'll text.
What was going on?
2 goats and LFG. This is the elevated discourse I tune in for. Epic.
What were we talking about at the time?
When? Just now?
Yeah.
Totri getting high and watching
Okay.
things.
Videos.
I just wasn't sure which
Yeah.
particular. I don't know if it was the robbing Circle K or.
The funny thing is, we laugh now. I'm gonna do the same fucking thing tonight. I'm watching episodes 3 and 4 of Predators.
I was like, rob a Circle K? What?
No.
Stop bringing it up.
You know what,
Just
guys?
stop.
Just if you enjoyed the content today, give us a follow at PHNX _ Sun Devils. Leave a like. You can follow me on social at Anthony _ Totri. You could follow the man right here at Shawn _ DePaz.
Being a law-abiding citizen is always.
There we go. And we're gonna see you guys tomorrow.
Unless he gets arrested.
Or Max jumps me. One or the other. But yeah, 2 p.m. tomorrow, guys. Stay locked in. Lots of Sun Devil news on the horizon. So stay locked in. And like I said, we will see you on Hump Day. But for now, peace.